All right, all right, all right. Good morning, everyone. How y'all doing? Jay here again with another coffee Q&A for our week here doing Pulsar brewing with the NextLevel Pulsar. Wilson and Baldhead, good to see you guys. How you doing today? Glad you're here with us early. Hope everything's going well today. So today we're going to be continuing our exploration of the NextLevel Pulsar. And the NextLevel Pulsar, again, in case you maybe just joining us for the first time, this is a brewer that one of my friends, Mark Testa, gave to me, led to me to use because he was like, I got this, and I really haven't, he hasn't been able to find a nice way to brew with it. So he's like, maybe you should make one video about it. So let me lend it to you. So very nice. Thank you very much, Mark. I really appreciate it. So this is the NextLevel Pulsar. It is, I'm going to turn this on. Good morning, Dan. How are you doing today? And it's a nice little brewer, right? It's got this valve here, so you open and close it, right? Make sure that it's on the 3 o'clock position so that it's always closed. And if you have it in the vertical position, it's open. But today, we've been exploring other recipes. We've done the Jonathan Gagne. We've done 2 recipes of aramse. We made an adjustment to the aramse one, like the French no press. I didn't really like the way it turned out. Actually, I didn't like the way it turned out yesterday either. Maybe it's just not one that I find attractive for the coffees at least for the coffee that we're using this week. Today, we're going to try another recipe that was suggested by one of our viewers. Long Pivot sent me a message and said, hey, I've got these 2 variations on a similar recipe for this call, and he calls it, what does he call it? He calls it the lifted cup method. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but this is the lifted cup method. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, he sent me 2 variations. There is one that's 15 grams, one that's 20. We're going to do the 20-gram version. I've got the basic recipe in the description below. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 20 grams of coffee, put it in here. Now, he did not specify what kind of grind setting. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with more at a standard pour-over setting because it does utilize the kind of flow that it's similar to Jonathan Gagne's approach. So what we'll do is we use 20 grams of coffee, total 340 grams. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add in specific intervals. We're going to do it 2 times the bloom, so 40 grams of water. Let that fall. I guess he didn't specify, so maybe we just leave the valve open. Let that fall down to about 1 centimeter. They're always following the centimeter. So it follows the Gagne idea of the centimeter height. So let it fall to centimeter, then raise the total volume to 145 grams of water. Then we're going to let that fall again, raise it up to 220, let that fall, raise it to 285, let that fall, then raise it to 340, and then that should finish it out. And I'm going to presume that it's going to be done somewhere along the way, about 3 to 4 minutes. So Long, good to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for the recipe. So before we kick off, are there any particular parameters that you suggest for the grind setting? And should the valve be closed at the outset and wait? So I guess the bloom, is it closed for the bloom, the 15-second bloom, or is it always open? So let me know what you think. Mom, how are you doing? Good to see you. So if you can do that, let me know. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what we're going to try today. Let us get to it. So we're going to get our Pulsar filters. Let me zoom in a little bit more here. Zooming in. Here's our Pulsar filters. I have to buy another set of filters because I'll probably blow through a lot of these, and I don't want to give it back to Mark without filters. And I'm saying that now to commit myself. So I appreciated that, but I don't want to, it's like, actually, it's one of my friends. He borrowed one of my, I have this 10-inch miter saw. But I don't really use the miter saw that often, I would like to get a compound sliding miter saw one day, but this is a real simple Ryobi miter saw, and he borrowed it for like a project, and he borrowed it for like, I think it was a while, several weeks at least, right? And he's a very close friend of mine, and I was like, he's like, he brought it back. He's like, hey, thanks very much. I got you a new blade. I was like, whoa, dude, that's crazy, man. I was like, thanks, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So I want to be more like him, you know. So if I'm buying something, got to replace it with good filters. All right. So Long says this is actually based on Christopher Ron's. Oh, Christopher Ron, that guy. I've actually been working on a video about Christopher for like a year now. I shot it last summer. Christopher and I go way back. We first met on a trip to Zihuatanejo. We were on a trip back in 2014 or 2015. We were on a buying trip with a whole bunch of people, some friends of ours, and we're touring Zihuatanejo. We're up in the mountains, just outside of Guerrero, and meeting all these farmers, and it was a great time. There was we kind of had to worry about a little run-ins with La Familia Michoacana and Los Zetas, but no real issues happened that trip. All right, so let's see. Based on Christopher Ron's V60 adaptation for the Pulsar. Oh, I didn't know he made a V60 adaptation. Just scale it to 15 grams and 20 grams dose. Oh, you scaled it down. Grind is rather coarse. Total brew time is 3 to 4 minutes indeed. Closed all the way during bloom. Okay, perfect. And then Dan is saying that if you can play with variable temp, try open at first with the boil. Try open at first with off the boil water, and then close for the rest of the brew using cooler roll. Okay. So thanks, Dan. We're gonna try. Maybe we'll try that as a variation for tomorrow. It's not sitting very well. Let me try this again. I'm gonna sit this down here. But since Long is the one that kind of said that we're going to follow his routine today, okay, put that in here. I have found, unlike the first day and yesterday, where we poured the water in here to wet it, I have not really had any issues with it popping. All right, so let us first measure out some of our coffee. We're going to get 20 grams of coffee here. All right, 20 grams. Good. Grind is rather coarse. Okay, so this is my rather coarse setting. Not fully coarse, but rather coarse. All right, so this is rather coarse. If that looks rather coarse, I think it looks, actually it looks more fine than coarse. But, it's somewhere in between. Okay, so now we're going to take our pot. Right, there's our pot, and then here is our, we're going to make sure that's closed. Closed. Then we're going to add, what I appreciate, Long, is that there's no craziness as far as these, like, you need to get extra tools to do this. I appreciate that. All right, so here we are, and that's kind of leveled. Actually, sometimes I wonder, like, why do we level any of this? Because do we really need to level? Because we're going to hit it with the turbulence of the water. So what does that matter? All right, so we got to remember, this is the part that I forget the most, is putting the cap on top of. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to reset the time. We've got 20 grams of dosage. We're going to do a 15-second bloom with 40 grams of water. Okay, we're ready. Bring that up to a boil a little bit more. Okay, that's good. All right, here we go. Let's turn our timer on. Our fancy timer. 40 grams. Here we are. I'm going to say that this 4 extra grams is the stuff that doesn't flow out of the cap. See, look at that. Oh, gosh, now we're past 145. And open the valve. Open. Oh gosh, there's a lot to manage now. There's a lot to manage suddenly. 145. Oh gosh, we're out of control. And this is like all uneven brewing. Oh, it's fallen. So now 220. Long, you can tell me if I'm doing this completely wrong. Like, am I totally butchering this process? Yeah, this is not a good thing. This is not a good thing because for whatever reason this morning, it's not quite pouring. Let's see, it's already falling really fast. So let's go 285. This seems like it's going extremely fast. Long says, yes, the initial part really called for quick maneuvering. Okay, so that's what, there's not enough time for me to worry about the 1 centimeter. Like it's blasting through. Oh, 342. There we are, 342. Like it's blasting through here. Like, look at that. Like to me, it feels like it's rocketing through here. I mean, we're not even 2 minutes. Now, there was some issue with unevenness as far as it was falling, because when it was, when I had it situated here, it was falling, and this is road here, so it was heavier on this side. So we got 2 minutes, 13 seconds. And so that could be a problem. That could be a problem. Now, you can even see it. Like, I don't know if you can see it, but at least definitely from my angle, there's this part here is lower than this. Like it's like a ramp, right? It's like ramped lower and higher here. So there's going to be a bit of I suspect there's going to be some issues with that. And Long says, I think you might need to grind finer. Yeah, no worries. Go by taste. We'll definitely play with this a little bit more. Maybe we'll do more of this tomorrow. Maybe work in some of Dan's options. So here is our elixir. It looks pretty good. Oh, there's our coffee. Sometimes I don't know what this camera is trying to focus in on. Maybe it's too close. Who knows? Anyway, enough of that. That's going to make you all seasick. So got some warm tones, a little bit of woody. My initial reaction is that it is an improvement over yesterday's brew. So initially, I'm more favorable to this than the French no press. There's a little bit of dryness, and then and so I think there's going to be some things like there's a bit of dryness to it. The woodsy character on the nose is also apparent on the palate, and that's kind of like a balsa wood, which is probably because of the errors in the way that I brewed it. So I think we're going to have to do this again tomorrow. Try it out a little bit better. Now that we have a better grasp on like what exactly is flowing. But it is a lighter. Actually, it's as it's cooling, it's getting a little bit sweeter. Certainly more pleasant. Actually, on a pleasant scale, it's magnitudes better in pleasantry than both of the French no press brews. Like I think the French no press is my least favorite of all of them. Then so far, then there's the Gagne. The Gagne is okay. So if we say French no press is here, then the Gagne. Then we have the other one, the steep and release. What I think what's called. Um, so far, I think that's the one I reacted best to. This is very promising. This would be like second to that at the moment. Could be better because I did basically a pour brewing of it. But it's actually kind of pleasant. It's kind of pleasant. I'm wondering like how much of that unevenness has affected the brew. There's part of me that thinks, okay, well, it's uneven, but it's all contained, so it's all. But yeah, it was definitely uneven. We're not going to worry too much about that. We're going to figure it out by trying again tomorrow. All right. All right, this is a decent effort. I like it. A little bit dry, a little bit juicy, good brightness. The body is kind of like light medium, so it doesn't really bring out a lot of the body yet. All right, that's pretty much it. I guess that's it. Yeah. If you're interested in more coffee talk, we're going to do some more coffee talk tonight on the Coffee and Cigars live stream, which happens on the Ono Live channel at 8 p.m. Eastern. Tonight's cigar is going to be a cigar that a friend of mine has been developing for the last year or 2 years. Cyrilla McLean, he's a good friend of mine. We were hanging out last weekend or 2 weekends ago, and he was like, hey, man, he gave me one of his cigars, and I was like, oh my gosh, dude, about time. I'm so excited. And we're going to feature that finally tonight. It's a pre-release cigar. It probably won't come out until sometime in 2024. Still trying to figure out distribution and location and all this kind of stuff. So I'm really excited to try it. So if you have the time, come join us. Long says that it doesn't have the oomph. Well, it's like it doesn't have the oomph, but I can't say if it's because of the brew method or because of the piss poor way that I brewed it. Like there's no way to get around it that you gave certain parameters like the 145, the 220, the 285, 340, and it's supposed to raise the bed and then let it fall. Well, the grind selection that we're using probably does need to be a little bit finer, right? That's going to give greater restriction, especially so I don't think that it gives much restriction as the coffee's floating, but as it gets closer to the bottom and against the filter, it should restrict the flow. And so that's going to be a good part of that. Also, because there's this ribbing here, right, on this surface, the way that this was set on it, like there are feet. There are little feet here, right? And for whatever reason, it was elevated slightly this way, so that as we were brewing, the water is flowing this way, giving us uneven brewing. So that's a big. Those are two issues that I think need to be addressed before we can really make any kind of determination as to whether or not the coffee doesn't really have the oomph. It doesn't necessarily have the oomph, but sometimes you're using brew methods and styles and techniques of brewing to manipulate that. Like you can use techniques to manipulate the flavor or the way that the coffee is produced. So is this, I wouldn't say it's negative. Like there's not that, to me, a lot of those bitterness and heavy notes and unpleasantries were really exacerbated with the French no press method. And we tried two different ways of doing that. So it's kind of like, do we really want to try more? This one, I think, has some promise. We just want to play with it more to see what will happen, see how it responds if we brew correctly, right? So tomorrow, I think the idea is we're going to take the same recipe. We're going to use the 20 grams, 40 gram, 15-second bloom. Maybe we'll keep the valve. We'll keep the valve closed until we add the 145. Then open the valve, let that fall with a finer grind, then bring it up to 185 or 220, and then let that fall. We leave with the valve open. Then add up to 285. Continue the fall. Then finally to the finish in 340. And I think that'll definitely lengthen our time. And we're only talking right now 2 minutes, 15 seconds. So we can stretch that out, get longer contact time with the water and the coffee to hopefully give us more extract. Well, it will give us more extraction, but hopefully deliver on an improved taste. All right, so yep, that's pretty much it for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate you being here with me. Be back again tomorrow, 10 a.m. as always. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Oh, if you have the time, I got a community post today. I've got the video. I've been doing a video for Saturday about my visit to Coffee Shop Gallant in Tokyo's Ueno area. And I have 4 different thumbnails and titles. If you got a moment, have a look at those. Tell me which one you like best. And that's probably the one that I'll use. You know, we're trying to A/B test all of these like variables. All right, so yeah, there it is. Mom, good to see you. Long, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the recipe. Dan, always good to see you as well. And for all of you guys, have a great one out there. And see you tomorrow. If not, I'll see you soon or tonight. All right, until next time, have a great one.